Hello, everyone. So I finally decided to do it after quite a bit of encouragement. Um, Normally on Fridays we will do this, but if we do it over the weekend, it'll happen too. But I've wanted to do more of a pop culture thing instead of board gaming all the time. And I figure what better to start with than one of my greatest passions, and that is, you got it, comic books. Helen, how are you? Helen, I'm going to need your legal help on this. We got to be very careful. Now, all the comic books that you will see on here are from my personal collection that I've scanned. We are not in any copyright thing or anything like that. We are not trying to resell anything, and we're definitely not monetizing this. So if you like what you see, we always encourage you to hit the button below or don't. It doesn't matter. We're going to keep on doing it anyways. But today, what I want to do, explain to you a little bit, and then we're going to go into um, something that I think a lot of people don't know, and that's the true essence of where the Infinity Gauntlet came from, and where Thanos' obsession with it came from. It was something he always had, and why? Well, we're going to show you why. That's for sure. And we're going to explain it all the way up to the Infinity Gauntlet. We're going to take a look at different things. We're going to, get our feet underneath us and make sure that we're good to go. Helen, I'll need any kind of help that I can get from you. That's for sure. Um, by the way, and another thing that I want to do with the weekend series is kind of talk about things like this. Oh, why do I forget to fix that thing every single time? But I want to go over some model building. As you can see right here, this is a birthday present that I did for somebody that they will be getting. That's um, a personal friend of mine had always wanted something, so I wanted to put something together for him. So I got the Bondi kit, and let me tell you something. If you go out and get this kit, it is an incredible kit. I'm going to try to show it to you. Hold on. There's just some things I want to put away on the table that I don't want people to see. And let me put that back there. And let's go to our, hopefully this one's working just fine. No, of course it isn't. We go black, right? I thought the aviator would work. Oh, you know why it doesn't work? I gotta take the cover off. Same channel. But I wanted to show this to you real quick before we really get going here. But we're going to be covering all kinds of different things. This Bondi kit was just absolutely a, a, a lot of fun to play around with and put together. So I just figured I'd give you a little look at that before we really go into things too much. Kabuki, what's up? Um, Really tried to make this kit look a lot better than, just the plain old plastic. And if you're a Star Wars fan, I hope you appreciate the trench run. All right, let's get to it. Well, what a lot of people don't know is they think they know the Infinity Gauntlet from the actual movies. Well, that's not how it really happened. There's a whole story before it that I believe Reinhardt and Starlin developed, and that was the obsession with the soul gems. Now, where did Thanos get his start? Well, I mean, I'm hitting things when I shouldn't even be hitting things, right? His start really got started in Iron Man 55, and I'm going to show you that cover right here. Iron Man 55 was a very interesting issue, but you kind of learn a little bit about Thanos, and it gives a real good background to everything for him. The Blood Brothers were his minions, more or less. And the funny thing is that one of the issues that's really kind of funny is that Thanos escapes in a helicopter, which it doesn't encompass what Jim Starlin did when he took that character. Adam Warlock was a huge background, but when we talk about Adam Warlock, we're going to talk completely differently about how that goes. In 55, they try to give his um, his origins in a way, and saying where he comes from. Talks about his father, Mentor, and Eros, and how he just killed his mother and betrayed everything. And Eros went to Kronos to try to get somebody to actually stop Thanos, and that was Drax the Destroyer. Now, you know Drax, of course, from the Guardians of the Galaxy. He was actually a whole different thing before Guardians in the Galaxy, which was quite interesting. Now, that was the start and the origin. And if you have a chance, go to Marvel Unlimited. It is fantastic for reading back issues and things like that that you may not be able to get a hold of. Some of the old school stuff, and Marvel does a fantastic job with that website. I highly, highly suggest it. Uh, again, we are not taking anything from Marvel or anything like that. We are just having a discussion, and of course, I think we got this pretty well covered. Unless I'm wrong, Helen, and then tell me. Now, the whole go around with Adam Warlock was very interesting because it kind of defined Thanos. Again, that's something that we're going to talk about. What we want to talk about really is Thanos and his obsession with the soul gems. And this really started in Avengers Annual 7, which was a critical issue. Okay, this was Jim Starlin's issue where he kind of brought in Adam Warlock, and it really tells a tragic tale, which we're going to show you real quick. Here's the cover of Avengers 7. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a sip of something. This is a critical issue because this is where the Avengers first one of the few times that they tangled with Thanos, and Thanos has this complete. Oh, let me get over here. There we go. As you can see, Jim Starlin drew this. It's just a fantastic, and his portrayal of Warlock was a tragic figure, almost to the point. I never read much involving Thanos until the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, and that was late 80s, maybe 90s. Yeah, this kind of starts beforehand, and kind of what we're going to hit here is some of the story where he starts going mad and he starts collecting the soul gems. And Adam Warlock, of course, finds Gamora, and as you can see, the Master left me for dead, and they couldn't understand what he wanted to do. His thing was complete. They called him the Mad Titan because he just wanted complete stellar genocide. He hates all life. Why? Because he served death. He served death. In the movie, which was a big thing, was that he wanted balance. That's not how it goes, and we'll talk about that a little later when we get to Thanos' quest. Let's see. Yeah, I'd say Adam Warlock has to be one of the most powerful figures. It's kind of interesting because you'll see, and we'll talk about that in a minute here. Adam Warlock was basically spent a lot of time with on Counter Earth, and we'll get more into that because it was almost like Adam Warlock was a religious figure, to put it lightly, okay, and being very careful what I say here. And we'll talk more about that because in order to intertwine these two characters, we have to do a separate thing on Adam Warlock so you understand how these two characters come together. And it was never portrayed in the movie, okay? It was never portrayed in the movie. Adam Warlock was a very important part of the Infinity Gauntlet, and it was completely written out. Why? I don't understand, number one, especially when they started introducing him in Galaxy of the Guardians movie. And plus to try to figure out, if you read the Infinity Gauntlet, which I suggest you do, go get Marvel Unlimited, which is a fantastic program. It's only a few bucks a month, but you get to span the entire Marvel universe, and it is a fantastic tool for learning a lot of things, such as this. Um, Now, once he gets the stones, he doesn't really know how to use them properly. So he decides to create this ultimate weapon on his ship here, as you can see in the bottom frame there. And he decides that he's going to blow up a star. And he does. Okay. So now he has the power, and he's just using the Infinity Gems, the Soul Gems, the Infinity Gems. Excuse me. Um, Actually, they were called the Soul Gem. We'll get to that. The Infinity Gems. So a lot of you that may not understand, he used the Infinity Gems kind of, and he puts it really uniquely. And we'll take a look at that, how he puts his first use of these gems and how he used them the wrong way. As you can see, immense power to destroy an entire sun. I mean, think about that. Think about what he was able to accomplish there. And Adam Warlock decides to enlist the help of the Avengers and Captain Marvel. Um, and as you can see, Thor and Adam Warlock in the bottom left-hand corner have a history together, but we'll talk more about that as we get to the uh, Adam Warlock story. Did the Collector have Adam Warlock in status in the movies? I don't know. That the movies, there's little tidbits here and there. I don't think so. Um, what they decided, I think they did a wonderful job with the movie, but the true story is a lot deeper, and it spans the Marvel universe for quite some time. As you'll see here and we're again still in Avengers Annual 7. Now this was a two-part, painting my Marvel United right now while listening. Now, the amazing thing, right here, gives you a brief understanding that he's tried to amass great power on numerous occasions. Okay, but the greatest enemy of Thanos was always Thantos. We'll talk more about that as we learn about the Infinity Gauntlet itself. He craved power. Why? He wanted to serve death, and we'll get into that more and more as we go. He tried to use the Cosmic Cube in an earlier Avengers thing. Um, Go around, but Captain Marvel was able to stop that with the help of Rick Jones. And as you can see, he gained himself back together and decided to search out the 6 deadly gems. As you can see, each gem possesses a different power. As we know, they are the 6 soul gems. That's what they were originally called, even though one of them's a soul gem, a power gem, and so forth and so on. So, of course, he went out and collected all these gems and decided to create a synthetic gem, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay? And he has 5 of the jewels together to create this synthetic gem. All he needs is Adam Warlock's gem, because Adam Warlock has always held on to the soul gem. We're going to get more into this because this takes a lot of twists and turns along the way. Now, Adam Warlock hung with Gamora, who was, of course, daughter of Thanos. But also, he hung with a troll named Pip. I'm going to give you a look at him. And here he is. And, of course, he's just walking around. And as you can see in this particular issue, Pip runs into him. Well, unfortunately, as you can see here on the bottom where it says true, there was a time where my plans required my being friendly on friendly terms with Warlock. Well, why was he friendly with Warlock? Well, again, there is such a deep story that goes into Infinity War and Infinity Crusade, as the Magnus, who is a split personality of Adam Warlock. Again, In order to get to those issues, we have to, and really get into the Infinity Gauntlet, we'll have to cover Adam Warlock at another time. But right now, we want to talk about the history of the gems coming up to the Infinity Gauntlet. So you see what an intricate and incredible story that was weaved for so long. I mean, this happened over almost 10 years to get to the Infinity Gauntlet. It was a story that was masterfully told by Jim Starlin, which doesn't get enough credit for his work with Thanos, Adam Warlock, and the cosmic universe that Marvel has today. Without Jim Starlin, a lot of that wouldn't have happened. Um, as we go through this, I'm being careful because I don't want to show a lot of things. Um, the Avengers um, go after Thanos, and they're taking on his Armada fleet, as you can see. And they enter into his building, and of course he has. It's almost like he's a lord of this pirate ship of all kinds of different dregs of the universe. But the main idea is to destroy this power gem, that this synthetic gem that he created, because Thanos, in all his power, all he's thinking about is destroying as many stars as he can snuff out in the universe. And there comes a critical part in this story, which we're going to skip over a lot of parts here. And when Adam Warlock is looking for, while the Avengers are doing all the dirty work fighting the minions upon minions, um, Adam runs into his friend Pip, whose mind has been totally wiped by Thanos. And he decides to, number one, he's going to defend that gem, but he possesses the Soul Gem and Soul World, which is a whole different thing that you'll learn about as we talk more about Adam Warlock. There is a separate universe within his gem that he keeps upon his forehead. He understands how to use the power of the Soul Gem. And as you can see, as we go a little later in the story here, once again, as he's flying around, he's looking to erupt and destroy stars in every possible way. Because as you can see, there's Thanos with the synthetic gem, and here comes Captain Marvel. Well, Captain Marvel threw himself into, whoops, into the unit that he had made the synthetic gem to destroy the stars, and took himself out, more or less. But now comes a critical battle between Thanos and Warlock, and he decides to show his full power against the Warlock and kills Warlock. Okay, and of course now Thor comes in and decides to do battle. So with Warlock dead, he now has the next gem, and of course his synthetic gem got destroyed in the process. But this isn't the end of it. Um, he decides to take off because Iron Man and Thor show up, and then while Captain Marvel is awakening after getting completely pulverized, taking out the synthetic gem, um, Warlock comes to grips with the failure that is his life. His entire life was nothing more than a failure, he feels. And he even says it if you look on that bottom rung right there. As he's talking about, he's talking to himself, he's talking to his soul, more or less, which is a really interesting part because his life has been nothing but pain. And, you know, he was put on Earth 2 to be its savior um, by the High Evolutionary. Another thing that we will cover when we cover Adam Warlock, to understand everything and the intricate parts of the Infinity Gauntlet, you have to understand Adam Warlock. Right now, we're just talking about the Soul Gems. But in this really unique end, he decides to actually take himself and put his soul and suck his soul into, yeah, you got it, into the soul world. And as you can see on the bottom here, there's Gamora and Pip on Soul World, and the Avengers are talking about how he is no longer, there. Yes, exactly, Kabuki. Uh, I'm trying to watch how I say that, but if you look at what Kabuki said in the comments, excuse me, it's very true what she just said. But at the end here, he's in the Soul Gem, and he can finally find peace now that he's dead, and he finds all his friends and his enemies from his past. And as you can see, he's overjoyed because maybe he can finally find love and peace with his friends. Okay, but the story of Thanos isn't over here, because during this summer event, we go right to part 2 of this annual, and part 2 was continued in Marvel 2-in-1. Now, we're going to take a look at this, and you're going to see how important this particular issue is, because it kind of works into some of the things that we're going to be talking about even more here. And Marvel 2-in-1, 1977, 10 years before the Infinity Gauntlet, 10 or 11, 12 years in there somewhere. So the Spider-Man thing gets sucked into this entire battle, as once again, Spider-Man has visions of what's going on, and kind of a recap of what has happened, and so forth and so on. As you can see, that issue is pretty old. And Warlock dying, but they destroyed his gem, and he decided to leave, and he was going to find a way to rebuild everything. And the Avengers decide to go after him, but the Avengers get captured, as you can see here. And of course, he had taken the 6th soul gem, so now he has all the gems. And by taking the gems, even he says it here in the middle frame here, if I can kind of direct you guys, hold on, my mouse doesn't go all the way over there. Perhaps that will be enough to appease death. Remember, all he cared about was death, okay, and appeasing her and showing his love for death. His love for death was on a level that a man loved a woman, and he would do anything for death. And by trying to snuff out as many stars as he could and destroy so many, he was doing it in honor of death. Now, as I scoot along here, again, you've got to be very careful. I don't want to copyright anything or do anything wrong or here and jeopardize our channel. But we're giving you snippets and filling the story as we tell the story. But again, I highly suggest, if you really want to read this, we're giving you all the issues. Avengers 7 to start with. If you really want to read it, you can go all the way back to Iron Man 55. There's some issues in between there where he decides to work with the Cosmic Cube, but that doesn't really tie into the real story of the Soul Gems. So once again, Spider-Man and Thing decide to approach the enormous ship that Thanos has, and as you can see, they're going to go try to save the Avengers in any way they can. Now, in doing this, Spider-Man feels completely out of his league, unlike in the movie where he was just fine as long as he was with Tony Stark. Well, it's not that easy. As we scoot along here, we come back to a scene here where Adam Warlock is completely at peace, but he feels something pulling him back to do one last thing before he hopefully finds an eternal peace. They come across Thanos, and he has captured the entire Avenger crew, and the Thing and Spider-Man, of course, thing had his own Marvel team-up book, which was very, very good. I really suggest that you check that out. I really think that that was a fantastic book as well. And Spider-Man had Marvel team-up, which was very good. I think the run from like 44 up to about 67, 68. There was some Byrne work in there. Chris Claremont, who did the X-Men, if you know. I highly suggest that part of the run. But getting back here, they see the power. They run in, of course, to the power of Thanos. And you could just see that Spider-Man is just out of his league here. And Thanos doesn't even consider them a threat. And as you can see, the Thing tries to take on Thanos himself, but to no avail. And here's Peter Parker in this wonderful middle scene here, where he says, "Petey, old boy, you really stepped into it, up to your neck this time. Here you are facing a monster who just creamed the Avengers, Ben Grimm, Captain Marvel, and plans to blow out the sun. Face it, Parker, this is way out of your league." And he knows it. And he's just like, "I'm out of here." But that's not what he had in mind. Okay. You know, Thanos has this whole idea to blow out the Earth's sun, and there's no way he's going to go toe to toe with Thanos. So he decides to try to get out of here and find a way to help the Avengers or get them out of their current status. And by doing so, boom, he throws himself into the machine there by using himself to wake up the Avengers themselves. Again, being very careful here. And as you can see, the Avengers aren't having any of it, and they are going to take on Thanos themselves. But that's no easy task, none whatsoever, because as they're battling the hordes and you know, knocking, you know, there's a great scene here drawn by Starlin where Thanos and Thor, two of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe, are going toe to toe with Thanos, but eventually, as you'll see, he's going to get the better of them because, after all, he is Thanos. Spider-Man, who wakes back up and tries to help out, but of course, there are forces at hand here that that do not that decide to intervene, and that is chaos and order. And you can see chaos in the upper left-hand corner as they contact Adam Warlock for one last minute mission of vengeance. Chaos and order are two beings, as you can see in the right-hand lower corner. Lower corner are saying, "Hey, we are going to bring Adam Warlock back to stop this because there is imbalance in the universe." And chaos and order believe in balance. A lot of these Marvel Universe stories were very intricate because they talk about balance of the universe when you talk about Galactus, Order, Oblivion, the In-Betweener, and the Elders, and how there's very unique balance in the universe. And when one side tries to do something and knock things off balance, it causes an imbalance in the universe that needs to be rectified. And this is how Marvel heroes keep the universe the way it is. Now, in this scene, Thanos, throughout this whole thing, realizes that the soul gem that Adam Warlock had was very powerful. And Spider-Man works his way and fights his way and knocks the globe that is containing the soul gem, so he can, because he was contacted by Order and Chaos, to unleash the stone, because the stone held great power. More likely, our good friend Adam Warlock's soul, because after all, he would be the only one that could possibly stop Thanos. So, once again, as you can see, the Ultimate Avenger is there, Adam Warlock, and just a wonderful, wonderful scene that catches Thanos completely off guard. And in a last moment, he decides that he is going to stop the Mad Titan from destroying anything ever again. Sorry. And as you can see, embeds him and kills him into and transforms him into nothing but solid granite. Now, with that done, Adam Warlock returns to Soul Gem, or Soul World as they call it, and they decide to bury him on the moon, our moon, a matter of fact. And as you can see, from 66 to 67, God Slayer, Savior of two worlds, and tormented soul. May he now be at peace from 1967 to 77. And on top of the stone, which I don't understand why they would leave it there, is actually the soul gem that they leave there in tribute to Adam Warlock. Again, the Avengers not knowing the capabilities of what these gems together can do. And at the end of this particular issue, we have, as you can see, Thanos just finally gone, and a tear coming down from the stone, knowing that he is petrified form of his own corruption, laminating the waste he has made of his days, and weeping for a love unfulfilled. And what that means is his obsession with death, how he wasn't able to fulfill his destiny for her. But Adam Warlock at last finding peace and thinking that, in the soul gem, that he can finally find a peace that he always wanted with his close friends, which meant the world to him. But it kind of leads into even more things when we take a look at the Silver Surfer's very own book itself. And that came out years later, right before the Infinity Gauntlet. And the Silver Surfer plays another intricate piece in this puzzle of the Infinity Gauntlet. As you can see, the Silver Surfer was punished by Galactus for, if you know anything about the Galactus trilogy from 48 to 50 of Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four is something that we will cover again. Luke, how are you? Good to see you. And everybody else that's here. I'm sorry, I know I'm talking. I'm trying to fit a lot into a short time without making this go too long. What we're going to see here is this first issue of the Silver Surfer, who was trapped on Earth by Galactus, a story that we'll talk about, and how that evolves and tells a great cosmic tale. Well, they finally, with the aid of the Fantastic Four, figure a way to finally get him off of Earth. And what causes this? Well, Champion, who is one of the elders, as we're going to take a look here in Silver Surfer #1, lands on Earth and says, listen, I'm here to kill you. I'm a cosmic elder, and the reason I'm here to kill you is I don't want you getting involved in the Kree Skull War. Now, what's that? That's another thing that ties into so much of this. And the elders who are really involved in this really want to destroy Galactus, because Galactus would wipe out 1,000 Skrull planets if he got involved, and they found out what was at stake and how Champion was behind all this. Really interesting story, something we will handle further, but we want to talk about how the elders get involved here, because the elders are an important part to the Infinity Gauntlet. And we're going to talk a little bit about that a little further. Just to kind of speed ahead here, they figure out to get Norrin Radd is to separate him from his board. And of course, Reed Richard, one of the greatest minds ever, finds out that all they had to do, it was so simple, just to separate him from his board, when the Thing came up with it all along. So now, how does he do it? He creates another board, and he races off to talk with Galactus and ask, hey, you know, hear me out. I've come to aid you and your new herald to pay my debt off to you. And he explains that the champion that he had defeated earlier, that the elders have a plot to kill Galactus. Okay, and the elders of the universe have been around for 5 billion years, each one with their own obsession, and now they control the soul gems. So now they're trying to figure out how to use the soul gems. And after he helps Nova, who is now the herald for Galactus, and where Silver Surfer was for such a long time, until he was imprisoned on Earth for betraying Galactus and saying, hey, humanity has its place in the universe. I don't think we should kill these people. Let me help you find another planet to absorb. So Galactus decides to give him back his star-spanning powers, as you can see here in the first edition here. Now, I'm going to race through some of this, and the reason being is I just want to pick out and show you a couple. We'll cover the Silver Surfer pretty extensively. I think we're really going to find, no, that's not going to be it. Bear with me, because there is an intricate part here that is really, really important that you see, and I believe it's in Silver Surfer 10, which I'm trying to pull up here. Actually, it is in Silver Surfer 9. Yes, okay. Now, here is the Elders, and what they're doing is each one of them has a soul gem, and they are using it against Galactus. And that's what this issue really comes into. Okay, they're trying to destroy him, but the Silver Surfer was able to stop them. Again, this is a misuse of these gems. They don't know how to use these gems, and that becomes an issue. They use them like a sledgehammer instead of a scalpel, as a fine surgeon would use. And that's not the way to use the Infinity Gems. And it's a line that you'll see that we're going to be talking about. Well, as this goes on, Silver Surfer becomes a very important part, because he becomes witness to Thanos' soul being released, and Death wanting to balance the universe. He feels there's too many. She feels there's too many people in the universe. Rich, thank you so much. All right, we're going to take a little break here, and hopefully, oh yeah, there we go. We're going to do a little Godzilla. Thank you so much. We are not monetizing this, so again, this new series is going to be something that we're going to give a go, and we're going to try to do. Come on, give it. Oh, he gets the music right off. Nice job. Nice job, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, in Silver Surfer, which when we cover the Infinity Gauntlet, we will talk more about. We'll talk more about how Thanos comes back to life. But when he is brought back to life by Death, he is asked to snuff half the universe out. And she gives him an amount of power. But Thanos, being the ever-schemer that he is, decides that he needs more power. And he decides to stare into the Infinity Well. And that's where we're going to pick up. We're going to, when we do the Infinity Gauntlet, we're going to cover all the meeting of Thanos for the first time with the Silver Surfer, how he comes back. But one of the most important parts here is a story that I consider probably one of the greatest stories ever made in Marvel Comics, and that is the Thanos quest. Okay? And this comes after a couple issues in Silver Surfer, which we will cover greatly when we go into the Infinity Gauntlet. But right now is to talk about the Soul Gems and how Thanos comes into possession of these Soul Gems. We'll talk about his coming back to life, and how it's going to be. Is there an omnibus issue for all this? Yes, it's the Infinity Gauntlet. It is huge. It is out of print. But I suggest, again, go to Marvel Unlimited. Sign up for $9.95 a month. You have access to the entire Marvel universe. It is a wonderful thing. You can read until you can't see. And what I'm doing is pulling out and telling you a story here. I'm trying it this way. We may try some different things. I'm trying to balance everything so we don't run into any issues with copyright infringement or anything like that. These are all my issues. I own all the materials that you see. And what I'm doing is I'm not selling them or using them for profit. What I am doing is talking. Keith, do Marvel Unlimited online, just like I said. Yes, there you go. See, we're even trying to push it for you, Marvel. All right, so let us take a look at one of the greatest series ever made. It was 2 books. It was done by Jim Starlin and the wonderful Ron Lim, and just colored and just a piece of perfection. This is where the Infinity Gauntlet truly starts. And as you can see, the Elder, there's Champion, the Gardener. We'll talk more about the Elders later, but right now what we want to talk about here is the greatest scheme of all and how Thanos comes into power. Being very, very, very careful with how we do this because we don't want to show you everything, but here's a very intricate part, and this is where Thanos is thinking, how can I complete this task, this huge task that has been put upon me? Pickle sandwiches, how are you? Okay. Again, thinking and looking in the Infinity Well, he comes up with how he can maximize his power. Okay. Of course, being impatient, he is brought before Death herself. Okay, Death is a lady, and he wants to know, hey, why are you taking? She wants to know, why are you taking so long to get on this? And of course, she doesn't speak, and of course, she has minions that speak for him. Mr. Death wishes to know how this newly acquired knowledge will further her desires. Or is this some kind of, as she knows Thanos, deviltry proud Thanos cooks up for his own amusement? Well, Thanos replies, listen, I have an idea, and I want to attribute the 6 soul gems. Okay? And with that, I'll be able to get these 6 objects and do your desire. And that's remove half the universe. So in the movie, as you can see, it kind of follows true, but what isn't said is that Death gave him gave Thanos this mission to snuff out half the universe, to create balance. She felt that there was too much life, and the heroes had saved so much life that to create balance, that half the universe should be snuffed out. And she felt that was the way. And she decided to enlist one of her greatest soldiers, who is Thanos anyways, who loves death and would do anything for her. Now, his scheme is to get the 6 soul gems. And he asked Death, as we're going to see in this next scene here at the bottom here, that, hey, I'm asking you, please, on the bottom here, can you please, allow me to go get these gems, because this will help me real. If with the power I have right now, it would take me an eternity to accomplish this great mission. But if I was able to get these 5 gems, I would be able to do that mission and gain your love and do this wonderful thing for you out of love for Death. And she finally agrees and says, okay. So permission granted, and then he decides to go on to the Thantis mobile or whatever and heads off. He kind of goats her into it, because during issue of Silver Surfer, one of the people that are in possession of the Infinity Stones, the Soul Gems, which they are rightfully called, is the In-Betweener. And he defied her with chaos and order, and she doesn't forget things very well. And we'll go into that when we cover a good run of that fantastic. Again, go get Marvel Unlimited, read Silver Surfer, because you're going to learn a lot about these gems and how they go and how they work into it, as well as Strange Tales with Adam Warlock, which is a fantastic story, and how this all just molds and comes together and tells this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tale. So he goes here to get the permission, because he says, one of the people that holds that soul gem is the In-Betweener. And if you remember, he got the best of you one time, Death. And of course, Death, being who she is, decides to say, something, this kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Go ahead, Thanos, I'm going to give you permission, and go get those stones, and then, but first of all, make sure you take care of the In-Betweener. So once again, he's on this incredible mission, and right now the In-Betweener is being held pretty much a prisoner by chaos and order. He's being punished, and so Thanos decides to seek out the In-Betweener, and being as cunning as he is, he comes up to the In-Betweener and says he wants to help the In-Betweener, as you can see, who is imprisoned here in this globe. And as you can see on the very bottom there, the snide smile that is known for Thanos, and of course Jim Starlin, always making him a conniving yet overpowered, and just like, oh boy, oh yeah, I'm more than happy to help you here, pal. And of course, the In-Betweener, they have a discussion, basically saying, hey, listen, I'm going to make this, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to get you out of here, okay? And I'm going to help you. And of course, the In-Betweener doesn't trust him and just says, yeah, help me. But in his mind, and you'll see some of the bubbles here that he's, that sneer look of the In-Betweener is, yeah, once you get me out, I'm going to make you pay. So what they have to use is use both their powers, okay? And Thanos realizes that with the gem that he has, how much power he possesses. So he uses it from the inside, and then Thanos uses it from the outside. And with that, the imprisonment that he's been put in by chaos and order cracks and gives way. And at long last, he is free. And to which Thanos just gives this false thing. Oh, finally you're free. I did it. I set you free. And now he basically says, hey, I would never trust you, and why would why would you betray death, okay, in order to save me? And then Thanos just gives him a look, and you can see the in-betweener's completely caught off guard and gets whacked by Thanos, in which he then pulls, I believe, the power gem off the in-betweener. He says, "This is all I was after, and this is all I ever wanted. I have nothing else to do to help you. And oh, by the way, I got a feeling that Chaos and Order are not going to be too happy with you, because they originally gave you a nice, comfortable cell to live in. But I don't think it's going to be very nice when they come back. They cannot sense me because of my existence in this plane. And when they come back, well, looks like the in-betweener, who is blaming it all on Thanos, and Lord Chaos and Lord Order is not having any of it. And thus, Thanos attributes and gets one of the first stones. So now that he has the first stones, guess who becomes impatient? Well, it's none other than Death. And he realizes that Death is now questioning what he's done. And are you collecting those stones for yourself? Or are you trying to do something to help me? And of course, he has to reassure Death and say, hey, listen, I am doing this all for you and no one else. This is all about you. And what he realizes, and she finally accepts and understands that, as he says, he loves her and he will do anything, and his devotion and soul are hers to command. So she buys it. And as you can see, he says, well, I'm going to have to be extra careful because she's watching me on top of everything else. So what's set in motion here is that, he's set on this great task. Death is impatient. And yet, it seems as if Thanos has alternative plans as well as to accomplish what he wants to accomplish for Death by snuffing out half the universe. He also has to deal with all these elders in different ways in order to get these gems. So now that the in-betweener's gone, he decides to take on Champion. Now, where do we see Champion? Well, he is one of the elders that we had seen in Silver Surfer #1. He's on a planet, and all he wants to do is fight. And that's all he is about, is fighting. And yeah, it's just fight after fight. And he uses the gem, and I believe it's the power gem, to power himself. So he's consistently powering himself as he takes on each battle. He's fought everybody in the Marvel Universe and defeated them, except for the Silver Surfer, who defeated him. So what happens next? Well, our good friend Thanos decides to challenge him, knowing that all he wants is that power gem. And as you can see, he calls him out and says, hey, we are going to fight, and we are going to fight to the end. I'm going to test myself. I'm going to test myself against you. Now, the thing with Champion is he's just this incredibly powered brute that just gets stronger the more he gets angry, siphoning power from the power gem. What happens here is that he runs into a Thanos that is a lot more, as well as possessing great power. As you can see, he dodges everything that he throws at him. And as you can see, possesses great power himself. Not hurting the champion, but frustrating the champion, goading the champion. Rob, how are you? Goading the champion and constantly pushing the champion to the edge. And as you can see, champion just keeps getting angrier and angrier, and Thanos outsmarting him consistently, and using just the beams to hold him back, and then just all of a sudden shuts off the beam and sends him a-flying. This enrages Champion. And Champion powers his way towards him, where he smashes into Thanos' force shield. And as you can see, Champion just getting angrier and angrier, while Thanos has a plan to goat Champion into doing the one thing that he hopes he does. And what does he do? He leaps up to the sky, proclaiming that none can stop him. Nothing can stop him. And I won't stop, and I will destroy you at all costs. Once again, proving and showing that Thanos isn't all about power as much as Thanos is about logic and utilizing your power and being methodical and having a plan in every situation. This has been Thanos' strength all along. While Champion, just full of power, like all beings that are overpowered, sometimes abuse their power and take it to a limit that shouldn't be taken to. And of course, like a small child, decides to throw a tantrum and basically leaps to the highest point in the sky that he can, and then begins to charge back down to the planet, where, as we know, Thanos has already have a plan in mind and decides to teleport away, leaving Champion coming with all the force and might that he has from the power gem. And what does he do? Obliterates the planet itself. Remember, the power gem is one of the most powerful forces, but have never been used to its fullest extent, only to the smallest extent. Each gem having a unique purpose that kind of, much like a petal on a flower, how each one creates and helps create the zenith of the flower at its full bloom. That's what the soul gems are. Well, the planet decides to implode upon itself. And as you see, it's completely gone. Well, this is what Thanos wanted and wanted him to do. And of course, beating his chest and, just standing there out in the middle of space is Champion. I've won. I've done it all. I've done it. And yet, as we'll see, Thanos basically tells him the gist of everything. Well, guess what, pal? Congratulations, you did a great job. But now you're just floating in space. And then Champion says, "Hey, I'll battle you for your vessel." "Nah, I'm good. I don't need to fight. I don't feel like fighting you. And I have a force field to protect it. And you don't have many friends that are going to help you, and you're just going to end out here floating in space for all time." So what he says is, "Hey, I'll make you an offer. I'll transport you to another planet," because that's what Champion begs him to do. He says, "I will, for a price." "What's the price?" "Your soul gem." "My gem?" Well, what Champion doesn't know is what the gem is. He goes, "That ain't nothing." Okay, and tosses him the gem. So he takes him in the tractor beam and brings him to another planet, where he releases him, now without his power gem, and tells him, "Well, I told you I would take you to another planet, but I never said I would give you a soft landing." And there goes Champion to crash into the planet, wondering if he survives or not. But he is an immortal, and like Thanos says, even immortals have their limitations. So now, with him in possess of 2 of the 6 gems, Thanos decides to go after the 3rd gem. And that 3rd gem is held by the Collector, who cares for nothing more than to tend his beautiful, beautiful gardens. And beautiful gardens they are. They are completely wonderful. This part of the book is where you see a different side of Thanos, that he isn't all just death and destruction. He can appreciate great beauty. And he mentions it in this segment of this book, where he admires this beautiful, beautiful garden that is tended by the gardener, an elder as well. And in doing so, what he does is he uses the gem to kind of tend his garden. And this is a hard thing for Thanos, and we see a side of him that we don't see, where he doesn't want to do the gardener any harm, because the gardener is not a malicious character. And they talk a little bit as they go around on his rounds, and they just admire the beauty of this incredible gardener. But he comes to the point where Thanos says, "Hey, why'd you hang around with the elders? They're nothing but a bad crew." He said he wanted to protect his soul gem because all he really ever cared about was tending his beautiful, beautiful garden. And they decide to sit. And this is where Thanos comes and says something very, very pitiful, very, very important, and very powerful part of this book. He says, "Of course you know why I am here, for my soul gem. I need it to further my dreams. And these dreams are more important than my garden? And Thanos goes, "Yes, my gold must override all others. My love for death cannot be denied. You realize I cannot give up the gem without a fight. I wish you reconsider." This is a very important part, okay? This is a very important part. Surely you sense that your power is nothing when compared to mine. And yes, I know you already possess the two other soul gems. That makes you truly an unbeatable foe. But I too must be true to my own desires and need. I have no wish to harm you, gardener, nor I you, but our dreams are at odds. And this little block here on the bottom here, where he goes, "Such a pity." There's regret, something that you don't see, which brings that sympathy part of a villain that sometimes really makes a villain unique. If you just a lot in later day comics, they just, oh, here's this incredible unbeatable foe and he can't be beaten by these guys, but the heroes will figure it out, and it's lazy writing. Where you learn different sides of Thanos here. One, he can love. Of course, he loves death, which isn't a perfect thing, but you also learn something very interesting here, that he has feelings, that he appreciates the beauty that the soul gem with the gardener can create, and he hates having to do this because he can see that beauty, and that here's a being that doesn't mean him any harm, but he feels that he has to just he has to do this to further his ambitions, and sometimes there has to be sacrifices made, and it does not please him to do that because he doesn't want to do that. So they get into this very incredible struggle, um, where they're just sitting there and having this mind war, as you can see. And as Thanos sits there and battles and eventually wins and tells the gardener that, "Hey, the Infinity, poor gardener, you had no idea what rests on your brow. The Infinity gems come before all recorded time. I believe they might be even the cornerstones of reality. With them, all facets of actuality can be controlled. Warlock's gem is the key to the souls of all sentinel beings." That's the one that our friend had, um, the in-betweener. Then Champion's gem is the power gem, okay, which is infinite power. But the gardener's gem was the gift of time, and with it, he just used it to, quick along the development of plants and then have them bloom at their zenith, and that's how he created his wonderful garden. But unfortunately, without the gem, the garden did not last. And what he would do with the gem was freeze it when these incredibly beautiful plants were at their zenith. So he took and used the gem to grow them quickly and then freeze them in time. And that's how he used this incredible time gem. Of course, there was a lot more to that time gem, and now that he possesses the three gems, well, Unfortunately, even the gardener had to die. And this is something that did not make Thanos happy, and that he did not want to cause his end. But he had to be faithful to his nature. He knew he gave him a chance to surrender it. He did not surrender and had to fight him. And he understood that he had to be true to his nature, for after all, he was Thanos. And now he possesses of three of the soul gems. So how does he get the next one? Well, that, my friends, whoops, let's come over here and come up top, is a story for another time on Rob's Tabletop, or Rob's Comic World, as we're calling it, this particular segment. We're going to take a look at book 2 of the Thanos quest. Okay, so we see how he evolved with these fantastic gems, and how at first he didn't know how to use them. But once he was brought back to life, he was able to understand what the gems are capable and how the elders came to find those. And we'll talk more about that in part 2 of this when we do this again next week. We'll talk more about we'll look at book 2, and then we will work our way into the Infinity Gauntlet, and we will talk about the first six issues of the Infinity Gauntlet and how it differs from the movie. And you'll understand the complexity to which all these things come about. Because there's a lot more to the Infinity Gauntlet than you really understand than watching the movie. And how deep and how all these stories for close to 20 years all came together to this Infinity Gauntlet story, and how beyond the Infinity Gauntlet story what transpired. So I hope you like this. I hope you take a look at this. I want to keep these to about an hour or so, and I hope you find this informative. I hope you go read this stuff and read what I explained to you, because it's a very interesting read, and I left out a lot of stuff, so you can go discover it. Go sign up for Marvel Unlimited. A fantastic, fantastic thing. We're not just going to limit this to Marvel stuff. We'll be talking some DC stuff as well. But there is just tons and tons of things. We're going to be covering series like the Fantastic Four, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and go through their unique histories, and so you can kind of get a feel how they came about. And we'll talk about the Avengers as well. And there's just so many wonderful things. Green Lantern and Flash and all the continuities in the different universes. As here on Rob's Comic World, we cover the very best and unique stories as I give you my own spin on some of these unique and wonderful stories that make up quite a bit much of my childhood and lifestyle. And of course, we'll be talking about 50 sci-fi movies, Twilight Zones, and everything else. I like doing these. I think the comic thing will be every other week. We're going to do pop culture stuff every other week to that. So keep an eye on Rob's Comic World or Pop World. Maybe I should just change it to Pop World. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we cover comics, movies, and all the other wonderful things that we could do. I'm trying to figure out how I can cover the sci-fi movies without getting into any trouble. If you want to dabble in other pop culture things, I'm going to cover that. We're going to cover The Outer Limits, The Invaders, UFO. I think Doctor Who is over covered, but I think the early stuff really needs to be covered, not the later stuff. But all things sci-fi, all things wonderful. We can cover that. We can cover anything you can, because I have it all. I do. I really do. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments if this is something you want to see in the future. I would really appreciate it. Please smash that like button if you really like it. We'll cover Walt Simonson's Thor run. It's an incredible run, and it is a very important run. We'll also cover a lot of things that you won't expect. Indie comics are hot right now. Yeah, they are. I like indie comics. I have tons of them. There's certain things that we'll pick out. I really want to pick out certain things. There's so much to cover. We'll do our best to cover it all. Leave some suggestions down below. And also, most of all, please like and subscribe if this is something that interests you. So until next time, it's your old pal Rob saying, we'll see you soon. I hope you enjoy this. Join me next week, I believe next Friday, when we do this again and we do part 2 of the Infinity Gauntlet you probably didn't know. Take it easy, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.